If I get your attention, we can work our way to the front.
Really good. What was that? You're good. No, you totally fine there.
Come find a seat, please.
Yeah, it's over there.
Get the evening started. So we're going to go into the front, please. With plenty of chairs, you got your favorite seat in place. If you need a couple more chairs, I'm sure we can find more chairs.
Find more if you need more, but there's some right up front here in the front row.
This is Maria's place here on this door.
Right to the left. Built-in homeless seats. Now, don't pretend like you're in school, just because you're in school. The front seat is a great place to be. Come on, Lou, start it up. Come on. Okay, good.
Okay, the first thing. My name is Brian Murphy. I'm the chairman of the Middle Township Economic Development Council. The first thing I'd like to do is thank everybody for being here tonight. It's an awesome turnout. And what the primary purpose of these events is to be conversation starters. We want to be able to get a conversation started amongst all of us as to what we believe would be a good thing for Middle Township, what direction we would like to go in. And so we're going to start this series off with looking into our past, to see where we started from, to go to where we are today, and then from there we'll go into the future. But before we get there, I'd like to introduce a couple of people. The people on the Economic Development Council. As I stated, my name is Brian Murphy, and then we have Nancy Centenary, who is here. She's our coordinator. She's the one at Middle Township all day, every day. If you have any questions, Nancy is here. I know she's here. I see her. Oh, there she is, right in the back, standing. We have Louis Altobelli, Joanne Caracino with the hospital, Yanni from George's Place, whose name I won't mispronounce, Pat McCusker, Robin Salison Metz, who is the one who put 98% of the effort into making this possible tonight, and she's in the back. If you could just say thank you to her on the way out, I'm sure she'll appreciate that. Tim Patel is on the board, as is Rick Rixey. He's here. Cheryl Spalding. So Cheryl up here. There we go. And Mike Butterfield. And of course we have Elizabeth Trenick, the Middle Township administrators here, over to your left, my right. And so that's the way of introductions. I'd like to say thank you to Empanada Mamas for providing refreshments tonight. If I mispronounce your name, I apologize. Thank you for your efforts this evening. And as I said, we want to talk about our history. Oh, and thank you to Lane County Community College. You want to say a couple of words? Sure. Let's start here. Let's start with him.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Maria Kellett, and I'm the dean of this campus, so you're in my house now. And thank you for being here. Welcome. We have wonderful offerings here, credit, both non-credit courses, and I just wanted to wave this in front of all of you to let you know that our semester has started, but we also have many personal enrichment, business classes, entrepreneur studies, tons of stuff that you can still get in on through our non-credit workforce development program. So I have many of these, you can pick them up on your way out. And again, just want to thank you for being here. Tell everybody about this place, get your kids here, get your grandkids here. We got to make this place your place. So thank you for being here. I also want to thank Empanada Mamas and Cape May Soda Company for being here tonight.
Thank you, Maria. And I want to follow that up with, this is a huge asset to Middle Township, is having this community college here. I can't stress enough to talk to Maria, to pick up a brochure. Come here, just hang out. It's a place that we need to invigorate it, it needs to invigorate us. It's a great resource right here in Middle Township. We're very lucky to have that. So, just a little bit of background before I call Ms. Fulginetti up here to the microphone. There's a connection between our history and our culture and economic development. According to 2018 Cape May County Spring Tourism Conference and Destination Marketing Report, cultural tourism is the fastest growing segment in the tourist market. We have a tremendous history here in Middle Township. We have homes dating back before the Revolutionary War. We have, my understanding is, as many, if not more, descendants from the Mayflower in Cape May County than anywhere else in the country. Research has shown that communities that know their story have proven to be more successful. It provides roots for us. It provides a foundation from which all of us can grow. And tonight is the first of a series of events we're going to have. We're going to focus on the past, present, and in particular, industry in Middle Township. So what we're going to do is just talk generally about the history of Middle Township this evening. And then in future months, we're going to talk about specific areas. The Cape May Courthouse area, the Whitesboro area, the Rio Grande area. How did that begin? Where is it today? And where do we see that going into the future? We expect these discussions to lead into significant efforts to preserve, promote, and celebrate Middle Township's history and its culture. And we're all part of Middle Township, all of us here. Throughout this, tonight, throughout the other months, raise your hand, be active, get involved. This is our community, let's make it a great one. So, with that, Rita Fulginetti from the county, thank you for coming here tonight. I think you all know her. Have a night. Thank you.
Okay. I really appreciate this forum. I mean, and I'm going to be brief about this. We could go on for a long time. Okay, Maria, are we good? Okay. So we're going to, what I need is the clicker.
Clicker.
Yeah.
Clicker.
Okay, there it is. So we're going to talk about just a few nuggets from history. Every town has a town hall, has utilities, has things that every other town has. But what makes us unique is our history, is our people, is our culture. And so I'm going to talk about Middle Township, and in the beginning, Explorer Henry Hudson is credited with the discovery of this Cape May Peninsula and the surrounding area in 1609. And then news of the discovery just went wildfire through Europe, and the Dutch, English, and Spanish Empire heard of it, and Cape May was named by a Dutchman, Captain Cornelius Jacobson May, who visited this area between 1616 and 1624, surveying the Delaware Bay for the New Netherlands Company. After a time of settlement, Cape May County was formally created on November 12, 1692 by an act of the General Assembly of the province of West Jersey. So after a time of settlement, settlement. Our borders were created by that act of the legislature, and we became formally Cape May County. That was the beginning. And then came Middle. Middle came in 1723 at a quarterly session of the county court. We were divided into 3 precincts coinciding with religious lines. Upper, where the Quakers settled; Middle, the Baptists settled; and the lower precinct, Presbyterian. Middle Township was incorporated by the Township Act of 1798 of the New Jersey Legislature on February 21, 1798, as one of New Jersey's initial group of 104 townships. And so there's our religious lines, and our heritage is based upon the Baptist heritage. Out of Middle Township came Anglesey, North Wildwood in 1885, Avalon in 1892, Wildwood in 1895, Stone Harbor 1914, and West Wildwood 1920. And still, we're the biggest landmass municipality in Cape May County. Our Baptist beginnings. Very important to me to tell you about our Baptist beginnings. The history of the First Baptist Church of Cape May on Main Street spans more than 3 centuries. The original church was built on land belonging to Lydia Parsons Shaw Leaning. Lydia played a central part in the organization of the Baptist church here. She was a devout Baptist, even though she was reared by Presbyterian parents, and her second husband was a Quaker. And unlike other Protestant groups, Cape May County's Baptists accepted women and African Americans into full fellowship into the Baptist congregation. 1712 to 1719. Thank you. The first Baptist meeting house was erected. And this is from the archives, which shows that court was held in the Baptist meeting house. And the early colonials really didn't have a real view of the separation of church and state. So you often see this, there's no line between our religious heritage and our governmental heritage. And we were a diverse group from the beginning. And I'm still going through, as you can see, the Baptist cemetery. You'll see this stone there about the church. But I like to talk about Lydia Parsons Shaw Leaning because, in my view, she was one of the great women of our early history in Middle Township. And we get a lot of information about her life from her son, Aaron Leaning Jr., in his diary, which is one of the treasures of our archives in the county clerk's office. And she was just incredible, came to this Middle Township when it was really nothing and built something of it. And here is her gravestone, and it talks about her whole life from beginning to end. She lived for a short time in Town Bank, where her family had cattle, but eventually they moved to Rio Grande, when her father bought 315 acres, and she inherited all of that property upon his death. And her son, Aaron Leaning Jr., in my view, was like one of the rock stars of his day with Jacob Spicer II. She reared a son who was so influential in New Jersey. One of the writers of the grants, concessions, and the original constitutions of the province of New Jersey. He, with his partner Jacob Spicer, had compiled all the colonial laws. And had circumstances been different, I think that he may have been one who would have gone farther in the United States government. one of the great movers and shakers of the pre-Revolutionary War era. And there is Middle Township properties. One is on the Historic Register, the home of Thomas Leaning House, and the National Register between Swain and Claremont. And the other home, which was moved there, the home of Aaron Leaning Jr., it exists near the county park. And there is a picture of the spine of that great work, the Diary of Aaron Leaning Jr. We have 23 historically significant homes in Middle Township documented in this book by Joan Berkey. I just showed you one of them in a previous slide, but it does really illustrate, some of our history and culture. We started as an agricultural community in Middle Township, was full of dairies, and here are images of different milk bottles from many dairies in Middle Township. And this is a part out of Stevens' history. In 1830, Cape May Courthouse contained a courthouse made of wood, a jail made of stone, brick offices, 8 to 10 dwellings, and a brick Baptist church. Hetty Hand was issued a tavern license for her property on Mechanic Street. And this is an image of the Beers map and Goshen particularly, and we have two incredible men who came out of Goshen. One was Andrew Tomlin, who won the Civil War, during the Civil War Congressional Medal of Honor recipient, and he returned home to become the sheriff of Cape May County, and he's buried in Goshen Methodist Cemetery. And on the right is the remarkable Eugene C. Grace. And he was also born and reared in Goshen in 1876. After graduating from Lehigh University, he was offered a contract to play baseball with the Boston Braves, but turned it down to work as a crane operator for Bethlehem Steel. He became Charles Schwab's right-hand man and eventually president of Lehigh University and president of Bethlehem Steel. At one time, Grace was considered the highest salaried man in the world, drawing $1 million annually. During World War I, Bethlehem Steel brought war industry to Cape May County when it established several ordnance-proving grounds, and it was just a salvation to our economy here in Cape May County. The family homestead, still standing on Route 47, was donated by Grace to the Goshen Methodist Church for use as a parsonage. Now, previously, I had in this map where the star is Bidwell's Ditch down below. And now, we're going to be talking later on about, environmental impacts. Well, Bidwell's Ditch, was an unintended consequence of the digging of a canal. Goshen was built up around a great shipyard and a steam sawmill. We show a large schooner under construction on Goshen Creek between 1870 and 1890. Goshen Landing launched 13 vessels of over 200 tons between 1880 and 1890. And Bidwell's Creek, located slightly south of Goshen, was deepened in the 1890s by Richard Bidwell, a Cumberland County salt hay entrepreneur. The artificial creek, renamed Bidwell's Ditch, fundamentally altered the marshes in the region, nearly drying up a once deep Goshen Creek and ending the shipbuilding that had supported the community for over a century. And that's the story of Bidwell Creek. Middle Township schools, there's great history there. I want to point to a Middle Township high school and an unpleasant surprise in 1917 when they woke up in the morning and the school was burned down. We had an African American settlement in Sigtown. A community of freed, fugitive African Americans developed before 1850 between Goshen and Townsend's Inlet in Middle Township. Sarah Hand sold land to Abel Cox and Samuel Robertson on the Eldridge Plantation along the Seaside Road in 1819 for a burial ground for people of color. John West, possibly a runaway slave from South Carolina, more likely a free black preacher from Tennessee, came to Goshen about 1823 and worked for Jedediah Tomlin. West and George Taylor, a mariner, formed a church in the 1830s and eventually purchased a building from a white congregation in 1853, moved it to the site of the current John Wesley Methodist Church and Mount Olive Cemetery near the old Swain Railroad and an acre of land nearby. And so that red line going up is where the Underground Railroad had come through Middle Township. The county seat controversy. The election of April 25, 1848 settled the controversy of the location of the county seat. And in my research, it was the most widely attended election of our history. 1,003 out of 1,005 registered voters in the county turned out to cast ballots that gave Cape May Courthouse an 89-vote majority with 524 votes over Dennis Creek with 435 votes, and Goshen came in third with 44 votes. Dr. John Wiley, whose former home exists on the northeast corner of Route 9 and Mechanic Street, now known as the Doctor's Inn, distributed a handbill to the independent voters of Cape May County that listed the reasons for retaining the county seat at its original location. He noted that in its current location, Daniel Hand, his wife's great-grandfather, had given the county perfect title so long as the county chooses to occupy it with either a courthouse or jail. Wiley explained that the courthouse village was accessible to Cape Island and other sections. He suggested that Nathaniel Holmes had a personal stake in Dennis Creek site because all materials for new construction would come through Nathaniel Holmes Landing. Wiley's most effective argument was the always frugal county voters centered on the cost of moving the entire county government to Dennis Creek. Now, shall we voluntarily assume an additional debt of $20,000 and increase our taxes threefold, which are sufficiently heavy already for the sole purpose of destroying one place and increasing the importance of another? Wiley inquired. Let us leave Cape May Courthouse and Dennis Creek villages to take care of themselves while we take care of the county and look to her interests rather than individuals. And this can best be done by keeping out of debts and exercising economy. And that was from Dr. John Wiley, a Civil War surgeon whose home still exists at Mechanic and Route 9. Following that election, the freeholders authorized the construction of a new county courthouse. We know it today as the historic courthouse with the gold dome, completed at a cost of $6,284.33. The dedication took place in 1850. At the Civil War, it was just a mass, it was like a patriotic party when we enlisted in Cape May Courthouse in August of 1862. There was a mass enlistment to fight in the Civil War that included speakers and bands and went on into the night. Supper was supplied by Wheaton's Hotel, and the men signed off on their enlistment papers as they climbed into wagons that took them to the train in Millville. And I see it as, you know, we were so innocent, and really we didn't realize what war meant until our soldiers were coming back dead. And here's the story from the archives of Amelia Hand of Cape May Courthouse, who recorded in her private diary of 1862 that this day will be remembered by some of us with sorrow. She had learned that among those that fell was her dear friend and to-be husband, Edward L. Townsend. In 1905, there was a great fire at the Cape May Courthouse, and here's listed all of the businesses that were burned down. And here are images of that great fire in 1905. Cape May County Gazette newspaper was Middle Township's newspaper. The third newspaper in the county, its first edition, was March 5, 1880. And as you can see in the previous slide, it talks about a barber shop, and here's a barber's pole out front of the Cape May County Gazette newspaper. We had glass companies in Middle Township and Cape May Courthouse, and we had the Taylor Stites Glass Company at the junction of Schoolhouse Lane and Reading Railroad. We had the Hereford Glass Company at the end of Hereford Avenue and Reading Railroad, and we had the Cape May Glass Company at Schoolhouse Lane and Reading Railroad. I mean, where we're situated near sand and near railroads made it perfect for that type of enterprise. And this comes from the Library of Congress, 1909. They reported the glass factory child laborers, and here are those images from our glass factory in Middle Township. And the story of Whitesboro is well known. Established in 1902 as a town exclusively for African Americans. The idea came in response to the increasing white resistance to black residents in Cape May County and Cape May City. The African American Equitable Industrial Association, founded by members of the Cape May City's AME Zion Church, purchased the land in an effort inspired by the self-help philosopher Booker T. Washington. With the help of many investors from the South, such as George Henry White, whose photo is shown, a state legislator and prominent Washington, D.C. lawyer, the association purchased 2,000 acres of land approximately 10 miles north of Cape May City for $14,000. Ironically, land that had once been the property of Aaron and Thomas Leeming, the largest slave owners in Cape May County history. And so we had a ballot question in the 50s. Should Whitesboro become its own incorporated community, and that was turned down. We have a great Native American presence in Middle Township, and I'm showing a photo of Julius Way, who was a medical doctor who had a home on Romney Place, on Romney, and he was county clerk around the turn of the century, from like 1900 to 1905. Lenape Indians made their summer camps on these shores before the European explorers arrived. One of these bands was the Ketchimetchis, who ruled from Romney Marsh, what is today known as Cape May Courthouse, south to Cape May Point. Some of our 20th century roads were originally passed cleared by Native Americans. Beginning in 1609, European explorers purchased land from and contributed to the decline of the indigenous people. In 1905, Julius Way, MD, historian, amateur archaeologist, and one-time county clerk, built his home on Romney. According to a 1910 Cape May County Gazette article, Way unearthed the remains of a remarkably well-preserved Native American skeleton. And we're showing on the right a year 2000 Assembly resolution with regard to the Ketchimetchis and the Nummitown in Middle Township, where 170 members of what is now referred to as the Ketchimetchi tribe live. And members of this tribe meet annually in the state to explore their heritage. So did I skip one? Okay. And so we're back to Rio Grande. And you ever wonder why Rio Grande was named that? It seems seems kind of odd, named after the sunny southern river, the Rio Grande, by one of Lydia Leaming's descendants. The Mayville Toll House, you know what that's about? At 10 West Shell Bay Avenue, just west of the State Division of Motor Vehicles Inspection Station, sits the toll house. Moved from Seagrove Avenue and Sunset Lane in Cape May Point, the toll house once collected tolls from steamships leaving New Jersey for Philadelphia and Baltimore. In 1897, Henry Ludman, a waterman who also farmed, floated the house by raft via waterways and up Shell Bay in a canal near the Garden State Parkway, and then it rolled on logs to its present location. We had sugar processing in Rio Grande. The Rio Grande Sugar Company was formed in 1881 by Philadelphia businessman Charles M. Hilbert for the manufacture and sale of sugar made from beet, sorghum, amber, and other sugar cane. The company purchased 20 tracts of land in lower middle townships that comprised nearly 2,000 acres to grow sugar beets and cane. The New Jersey legislature passed a bounty to be paid on every ton of sugar manufactured. For a time, the sugar plantation and large mechanized sugar factory in Rio Grande prospered. The company at one point employed 140 wagons and teams in 1883 to cut and haul sorghum from Lemuel Miller's farm in Green Creek to the Rio Grande factory. Unfortunately, costs far outweighed profit, and Hilbert went bankrupt. The Rio Grande Sugar Factory had several owners and probably 2 different buildings on either side of the railroad tracks. The Rio Grande Sugar Factory became a cannery in 1889 and later a slaughterhouse. And so I'm just about at the end. Middle Township has great history, and among that is our county hospital in 1950 for that Township Memorial Hospital with 65 beds was formed. Became what we know of today, Cape Regional Medical Center. And so this is just the beginning of a discussion about our history, and certainly there's a lot. And we researched it from public records, and so here are some of the sources from our talk today. And so I'm going to leave you with this one image of Mechanic Street, because you're going to be talking about downtown, and this is where the county library now currently sits on Mechanic Street. And so this is my last slide, and this is the Beers map from 1872, which shows Middle Township in the middle of it all, and many of these places that we just talked about. And so, how did I do, 15 minutes? Because there's a lot to talk about with the other speakers. So, do you want me to take questions, or
Yes.
will I wait till the end?
I'd like to take questions now.
Okay. Anybody have a question for me about any of this? Shirley Green. No, but I'm going to go back and see if we can find that.
What's
So, a movie theater on Mechanic Street, okay? Yes. Do you know?
Yes. Where you go into next to the library, there's an entranceway into municipal buildings. To the right of that was Baker's 5 and Dime Store, 3 stories high. Next to that was the movie theater, which was next to the Masonic Home, which was next to the bank on the corner. That's where it was, to the east side of the side entrance to municipal buildings.
And are we talking about the 1950s and 60s?
That burned down in the late 40s.
Okay.
I'm talking the late 40s.
Okay.
Now, this, here, I was told, you know, those,
stories in the city. I think there's a million stories in Middle Township, right? So,
It was
yes.
across the street from Ho's. Prior to the existing building, there was a monument, a World War II memorial. And that's where the movie theater was. What else?
I have a question for you, Rita.
Yes.
If you want to dig further into specific areas, how do we get access to some of this information?
I'm happy to provide it, and, if you have a community group who want to talk about it in more detail, we can do that. And so, I think the best way is to contact me, call me, email me, and we'll,
And you are with the county,
county clerk's office,
right in Cape May Courthouse.
Cape Courthouse at 7 North Main Street. Shirley? There's a lot of history about this whole area. Yeah, we just flew through it. We could go for days and hours, we could go a long time.
Yes.
Yes.
There'll be an opportunity, to bring the right for one of your meetings,
We should do that about all the villages.
That's exactly where we want this to go.
Yes.
So that's a great segue. Shirley, let me shout. But Shirley, it's a great segue. What Shirley asked was, she was fascinated by the amount of information, or the information that's in Whitesboro. We just touched on it this evening, but we touched on Rio Grande, we touched on Swing, we touched on Courthouse. What we'd like to do is to have each month talk about a segment of Middle Township. And as diversified as Middle Township is, there are the obvious ones, Whitesboro, the Courthouse, and Rio Grande, but there's also the Goshens, the Swintons, and the history for those particular areas. Like Mr. Grace that she was talking about out in Goshen. $1 million a year during World War I. That's it. It came from Goshen. That's awesome. So that's what we like to do. I'm going to, is the chief here? Okay. We're going to be, Chief Lusner is going to be here tonight, and when he comes, I'm going to interrupt wherever we are in the presentation, to invite him in, just to give you a little heads up of what he's going to be talking about, is relationship of adverse childhood experiences. One of the issues that we were talking about was, as businesses, we have a problem in getting good qualified help. And we say, gee, you have all the children here in the community. Where do they go? They're great kids. We see them, we coach them in the little leagues, we see them when they're in high school, and then they just disappear. Where do they go? And what the chief is going to do is to say, to show us, our community, that we have a lot of at-risk kids. And what we as a community can do to help them as individuals, but to help us as a community. So when he gets here, I'll stop and introduce him. But I think it's a great thing we want to talk about. I'm also going to take a moment here and have a commercial. The Middle Township Chamber of Commerce is going to have Meet the Candidates Night on Thursday, October the 16th at 5:30. It'll begin at the Real Wildwood Country Club. Now it's the Shore Club. I bring that up now because the Chamber is a time for all of us to meet with our politicians. If I saw some here this evening, I would recognize them, and they are very dedicated. It's an opportunity for us as a community to meet the people running for the U.S. Congress, for the county offices, the local offices, as well as school board. It's $30 in advance, $35 at the door. I think it's a really good thing for the community. I also want to talk about Restaurant Week. We have Restaurant Week coming up. There are some restaurants that are involved. It'll be, yes. The 23rd to the 28th. Thank you. Nancy. The Restaurant Week, and we have a lot of great restaurants in the Middle Township. There's some that can be highlighted with specials in the Herald, but there's some great restaurants here in Middle Township. We saw you enjoy this place right next to my office. If the weather improves, great outdoor seating, great place, and there's a lot of great restaurants here in Middle Township. So, while we're here tonight, what we want to do is not to have you guys come here and to listen. We want you guys to come here and talk. As Rita said, there's a huge history in Middle Township. As Shirley has talked briefly about some of the history in Whitesboro. We would like for everybody here to bring their input and to bring their history of Middle Township. Yes?
Robin wanted me to mention to you that about 6 years ago, we started a page on Facebook called Middle Township People, Pictures, and History. It has almost 2,000 members, mostly from Middle Township and more live here. But there's over 1,000 photos on the Facebook page, and they're mostly old photos of Middle Township, like the ones you saw here. These are really classics. So there's a lot of families, a lot of people, a lot of stories. So I encourage anybody who wants to have more of an internet or Facebook presence and read about the history through there. It's a wonderful archive. I can't believe that you can have that many photos in 5 years. So
What's the page again?
it's called Middle Township People, Pictures, and its History. And people don't fight on it. People don't post politics on it. People don't post about anything but history. It's really nice.
And it's Middle Township People.
Middle Township history through its people, pictures, and stories. But it's easy to find. You just type in Middle Township history, and it's the only one that pops up.
Is everybody able to hear that? Just type in Middle Township History for your Facebook, and it will generate the photographs. And I guess you have the ability to upload photographs to that also. So if somebody has unique photographs, they can post them on that page.
Yeah, and you can download them. You can make your own files. If you're from Whitesboro, you're from Dye Street, you're from another town, you're going to find ancestors. People find their relatives on there. People find the house that used to be on their property before. Or, you know, it's great. There's so many conversations on it.
That's awesome. Awesome. Thank you. I see that Chief Lusner is here. He's in between. He's probably the busiest guy in Cape May County. As many of you know, he is the Chief of Police. He's the one that has done more, I think, to improve the business community as well as our own community in Middle Township. And again, he's going to talk about adverse childhood experiences and how this has a relationship between this issue and the basic skills of our workforce. Chief, thank you very much for coming here tonight.
Thank you for the opportunity to be here today. I'm here to talk to you about something that I'm very passionate about. It's adverse childhood experiences. Now let me give you a little bit of background. I have a master's degree from Fairleigh Dickinson University. I've been to the FBI National Academy, Leadership Exchange Fellow at the College of Police in the United Kingdom. And all my training and experience has been a very strong emphasis on community problem-oriented policing, where you break things into 3 categories: enforcement, intervention, and education and prevention. And you engage community partners to get at the root cause of what drives people's behavior. So we've done enforcement, which we're pretty good at, which is traditional approach. It's an important role. But we focus more efforts on intervention and education and prevention. So we thought we were getting at the root cause of crime in some of our programs, and they're still important programs, don't get me wrong, where we were connecting and continue to connect people that have problems with addiction services, connect people with housing services, connect people with mental health services through partnerships such as Cape Assist, Cape Counseling, Christians United for Recovery, and Education and Prevention, where we are active in social media, we're active in the schools, and we try to raise awareness on certain issues. I then got involved with a grant for public health, Cape Regional Wellness Alliance, where they brought together education, Chris Kovic from the superintendent of schools in Lower Township, Greg Speed, the CEO of Cape Counseling, the largest provider of mental health services, Vicki Clark, the president of the Cape May County Chamber of Commerce, Tom Borowski from the hospital. And the goal of the grant was building a culture of health in Cape May County. I didn't realize the commitment when I got into this endeavor, but it was one of the best things I've ever done in my career. We went to training in Princeton through the Center for Creative Leadership for 4 days as a group, a small core group, and we were told to think outside the box. I gotta tell you, I went in thinking, all right, I want to focus on the opiate epidemic. That's something that I'm seeing just about every day in my job. And I'm sure my other fellow members were focusing on different issues. We came back and started to ask, what is the root cause of the issues that we were all dealing with individually in our own little worlds? And as we started to do some research, we came across something called ACEs, Adverse Childhood Experiences. A study done 1995 to 1997, 17,000 people in California. They started to ask questions about childhood experiences and how they related to health outcomes. So they asked 10 questions and ended up coming down to 10 questions. And these questions ranged from neglect, was there violence in the home, was someone sexually abused, were your parents divorced or separated, was a parent incarcerated? And they looked at these rates of 17,000, and what they found is that adverse childhood experiences were pretty common, and this was a middle-class neighborhood. And if you answered yes to one question, it would be an ACE score of 1. If you answered yes to another ACE question, it would be an ACE score of 2. And what they found was astonishing. They found that people that had 4 or more ACEs were significantly higher for just about every poor social and health outcome you could think of. I mean, significantly higher, 3 to 4 times higher. Everything from heart disease to diabetes, to being arrested for domestic violence, to being having problems with substance abuse. And I was just blown away because all my training and experience, I thought I was getting at the root cause of crime. And I said to myself, I'm not. We need to go upstream and be focused on adverse childhood experiences like a laser beam, not only in law enforcement, but as a whole community, and it affects the business community. So in Middle Township, we started to do a few things. All police officers received training this past summer on adverse childhood experiences and saw a film called Resilience, the biology of stress and the science of hope. We are going to be hosting a film for the community at the PAC Center this fall. Stay tuned for some dates. I hope many of you can come out and see it. I had to change the police officer's perspective from what's wrong with this kid to what happened to this kid. That has to be the foundation in terms of how we approach people. So we did training. We then put a policy in place, trauma-informed responsive policy, where we come across kids that are exposed to traumatic incidents every week. And we put things in place to reduce the impact of those adverse experiences, trauma that kids see. We put other things in place to where we will not make an arrest of a parent in front of a child if reasonably possible. We won't interview children of a crime or interview someone that's witnessed a crime in front of children. We will not use children as language interpreters. There are a number of things that we can do based on the science and research we know we can reduce the impact. We then also put in place follow-up visits for kids to say that they're safe. Because one of the big things we find with kids that have been exposed to trauma is they don't feel safe. And as a police officer, we're in a unique situation to provide safety, or at least that feeling of safety to that youngster. The second thing we did was put in a handle of care program at the schools. When a child is exposed to a traumatic incident, we report it to the school before the bell rings on the following day. It went in place this school year when it first started, and I had mixed feelings. But it's working, but it also shows how prevalent it is. We've had 4 handle care referrals to Middle Township School since the beginning of the school year, where our officers said, you know what, a child was exposed to a dramatic incident and the school needs to know about it. The school then has wraparound services where they know that they've got to approach that child with care, the guidance counselor's going to meet with that child, and lots of times they'll self-disclose. So we're, working with the schools to try to reduce the impact. And the whole goal is to build resilience. If you look at adverse childhood experiences, they come from bad relationships, and resiliency comes from good relationships. And it only takes one relationship to make a difference. It could be a coach, it could be a teacher, it could be a police officer. When you look at kids that build resiliency and overcome significant barriers, they point to adults in their lives that made a difference. And when you talk to those adults, and I talk to some of them, because I talk to kids that come from very challenging circumstances, they talk about adults, and then the adults don't even realize the impact they had. So there is so much we can do in the community. So how does this affect you as the business community? Why am I talking to you about adverse childhood experiences? Well, a couple of things is that it is the root cause of crime and social disorder, and there's a cost to that when it comes to all the services we have to provide as a police department, right? That comes out in property taxes that you're paying as business owners in the community. Also, your applicant pool. I hear all the time from Vicki Clark in our meetings, we still meet on this grant. The lack of qualified workers in the workforce. And a lot of that is tied back to adverse childhood experiences, right? That people that have had experiences haven't had the support to be able to overcome those obstacles, and then they have problems with impulse control, they have problems with all the issues that I just talked about. So for you, if we can start to do better as a community in helping these kids, you're going to have a better workforce in the future. And you start to talk about trends. We're looking at some of the suspension rates across the county, and you look at some of the free and reduced lunch. You look at our lower schools, the numbers are significant. 53% is the numbers I just saw, I think, for elementary number 2. We just had to pass a law in New Jersey, you can't suspend preschoolers. As part of grant funds, we're bringing in experts, neuroscientists who have studied the brain and the effect of trauma on children's brains. Based on the feedback from educators in Cape May County, we're having a full day in the summertime just to focus on providing preschool teachers some tools, right? So the trend down the line, try to think about 5, 10 years from now, what is your workforce going to look like if we don't start to tackle some of these issues? So it has a direct correlation to the business community. This is something the police department's not going to solve. This is not something the education system's not going to solve. This is not something the business community's going to solve. But I am confident that if we all come together, law enforcement, education, the business community, we can start to make a difference and start to reduce the impact of adverse childhood experiences over the course of time. I believe we'll see our crime rates come down. I think we'll see the cost of government come down. I think you're going to see more qualified workers. The science is clear. It is clear. I hope that you come out and watch this film, Resilience. I think you'll be blown away. I say it's the biggest public health crisis in our country, and nobody is paying attention. We have some information that we can put at use to make a difference here in Middle Township. We're committed to it at the Middle Township Police Department. I know our business administrator is committed to it. He's very passionate about it, and I hope that the business community can be a partner with us to make a difference. Thank you.
I have a question. What can we, as a business community, besides going to this movie, what can we do to help you and help ourselves? One thing, for the short term, what can we do?
Well, the one thing I'm going to say right now, that if you have people that work for you, younger people, right, that come from challenging circumstances, and you see some hope in them, taking a little extra time to talk to them, see how they're doing. One relationship can make a difference. If you have children, right, and I think, I look back when I was growing up, my place, where I grew up was where everyone hung out. I think my dad liked that idea because he knew where I was going to be, right? And I'm sure some of your kids have friends that come from challenging circumstances. take a conversation to talk to them. How you doing? What are you thinking about for your future? Show that you care. Those are immediate steps that you can take. And a lot of people are so humble, they don't recognize that taking that little extra effort with, a youngster or even a teenager can make a huge difference. So I say that would be number one, either in your role in the business community or your role as, a father or a coach. That can make a difference. The other thing I would say is that as part of the grant we're involved in, we have $200,000, $50,000 a year for 4 years to reduce the impact of adverse childhood experiences. We meet on a monthly basis with the group I just talked about. We just expanded it, brought the business administrator to our last meeting last week, and we're putting a pilot program in place where Vicki Clark, the president, is going to be reaching out to businesses to ask, to start taking a survey, to start sharing some information with us about how we can better engage the business community. So as you see those surveys, I know sometimes it's like, it's another survey, I don't want to fill it out, or I don't want to take the time to come and learn about ACEs and then maybe share some information with Vicki if you're involved in the Chamber of Commerce on the county level. Those types of things are going to help us. We want participation, we want people who are interested in making a difference. So those are the two things that come off to me as, to make a difference. The other thing that we're thinking about, and I don't know where this comes into, but career-ready curriculum, right? One of the things that I think is important is that kids see hope, and if they don't see hope, then they tend to go off on the bad path. And I'll tell you a quick story. I was in Liverpool, England, when I was two summers ago as part of the New Jersey State Association of Chiefs of Police. I'm vice president, and we were meeting with the chief detective superintendent out there, and he was talking about all the gun violence they were having in Liverpool and how their traditional response would be to flood the area and stop and frisk and stop a lot of people and make a lot of arrests, and crime would go down and saturate the area, but it harmed the relationship with the community. And it wasn't sustainable. They didn't have the resources to be on every corner all the time, and they would leave and shootings would go back and crime would go back up. So what they started to do was they partnered with a local football club, which is, soccer, which I think most of you probably know, and they partnered with a trade school. And they were talking to, HVAC technicians, electricians, a lot of people in the trade saying they're having a hard time finding people. So they used the soccer club to attract these kids. And then they got them exposed to the trades, and they saw that, wow, I can make a good living. They saw hope in terms of what their future is, because lots of times they don't see hope. And I think we can do a better job at advertising to kids the opportunities we have here in Cape May County, I think, in the trades, because I talk to people that have electrician business and HVAC, there's probably some in this room, they have a hard time attracting and retaining people, and they can make a good living. I think if kids knew that, and we got that information to them earlier, I think they would see hope. Right? Because hope is such an important part in, I think, what the future holds for you and making better decisions. So those are just some things off the top of my head. And the one thing to really go back to, this chief detective superintendent was amazing in my opinion. He had this, continuum went across, and he said, look, up until the point they commit a serious crime, I'm in the prevention mode. And it's so much easier in prevention. Once they have their first shooting or once they commit their first serious act, I have to transform them back now from a criminal to someone that's a productive member of society. He goes, up until that point, I have a real opportunity. And it seems like a lot of our money and resources go to how we respond to once this kid commits a crime, as opposed to how can we put more resources in to provide him some kind of, I like to call it slicing off, to get off a different path. And I think we can do a better job of that here in Cape May County. We're talking about it. One of the things that Chris Kovic did in Lower Township schools is and he's on our coalition, he started a marine mechanic program at Lower Township High School. What a great idea, right? When you think about where we live and how many mechanics that can graduate high school there and go and have a decent career and make a decent wage, I think those types of ideas, I think we need to start thinking about that and how we get that information to our kids. Any other questions? Okay, thank you. Thank you.
What an awesome night tonight, huh? Really. One more commercial. I see Susan Alisa Schmidt was here. She sent a link in for the Goldman Sachs Small Business Entrepreneurial Scholarship Program. Can you summarize that for us? Do you have a minute? Can you just tell us about that? Thank you. And I'll put it up here, www.goldmansachs.com. Thank you, Susan. Sure.
Hi, everyone. I just want to thank Elizabeth Turner for inviting me here tonight. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to make it, but so glad I did. I see a lot of familiar faces in the audience, and what a great program, terrific program tonight. So I have been doing some work with Middle Township, and I've been trying to spread the word about this program. It's called, it's a long name, so bear with me. It's the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses Program. All right, it sounds really ritzy, but it's really just a lot of hard work. If you're interested, I'd love to tell you about it. I graduated from the program last year. It's very difficult to get into this program, but if you're accepted, it's so worthwhile. It's a 12-week training program for entrepreneurs. And you have to have certain criteria to satisfy certain criteria that they look for. 2 years in business, a minimum revenue of $150,000, 4 employees, and you have to fill out the application. And I will tell you that the application is at best invasive because they want to know everything about you, they want to know everything about your business. It's Goldman Sachs, all right? So there's a vetting process, and once you get past that, if you get accepted, there are classes, and the program is administered at Philadelphia Community College. Yes, it's in Philly. It's an hour drive. I did it myself. You leave here at 6:45 in the morning. You're there by 8, and it's an easy drive. You spend a full day about every 2 weeks with your cohort entrepreneurs. There were 23 in my cohort. And these are people from all over the Delaware Valley. I was the only person from Cape May County. In fact, I think I'm the only graduate from Cape May County. So please, let's change that. Let's get more entrepreneurs involved in this program. It is absolutely free. Goldman Sachs is providing the entire program for you for free. Not only are you going to learn about how to up your game in your entrepreneurial operation, it will teach you about finance, about how to pitch a bank for money. It teaches you about marketing, about social media, about how to up your game in terms of operations, your systems, how to deal with people, how to hire a lawyer. I mean, it's just so comprehensive. And they bring in professionals from all over the Delaware Valley to conduct the classes. And then the final thing that you do here is you actually have to put together a business expansion plan or a business development plan. God bless you. So, and then when you put this plan together, you pitch it to people at Goldman Sachs. They actually come in and listen to your business development plan. My plan actually incorporated, my business is actually, it's based in Somers Point. We expanded to Haddonfield, and that was part of my pitch to the Goldman Sachs team. So thank you for the opportunity to talk about this program. I would love to talk about it with any one of you. If you're interested in applying, you can go to, it's 10ksbapply.com. And I'm hoping that we'll get somebody from 10KSB to actually come and speak as well to you all, but I certainly wanted to pass the word along. They are accepting applications. If anyone is interested, I'm more than happy to talk to you some more about it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so that's it for this evening for us. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as we did putting this on. It was really awesome. What we'll have to do again, to summarize, is we're going to focus on individual sections of the community. We're going to talk about the history. We're going to see where we are currently and where we like to go in the future. We will get the feedback, we'll take it back to our committee people and make recommendations to them. They, of course, are the fathers of the community and mothers, and they'll guide us along and tell us where we need to go. We would like to have the people, if you have something to say, you have something like the Schmidt had, feel free to reach out to us and stand before your community and say, look, I think this is a great thing for all of us. We as a community, the business community, want to develop, and as a community in general, we'd like to develop in a positive direction. So there's still some, I think, some drinks here afterwards. Thank everyone for coming out. There will be another one coming up in another activity in October. Keep an eye on your Facebook accounts. Reach out to Nancy. It will we'll have all the details, the time, the date, and everything else. Thank you all for coming tonight.